everyone and welcome to a spring reading vlog. It's currently Friday and in the UK it's a bank holiday weekend, which means we get Friday to Monday off, so it's a 4-day weekend and I am planning to make the most of it. So let's talk about the books that I'm going to be reading in this reading vlog. The first one is actually a book I'm listening to on Audible. I'm not normally a fan of audiobooks very much, at least I haven't had the best experience of them. I'm very much a visual person, and so for me physically reading the words on the page is how I absorb information, a lot easier than listening to it. However, Audible had a 3 months for 99p deal and I thought maybe I should just try having an audiobook that I can listen to whilst I'm doing other things. The book that I've decided to pick up is The Enchanted April, and this is a book that I've been recommended so many times in comments on videos and also that I've seen recommended in other people's videos for springtime reads. I've only listened to the first couple of chapters, so I'm really not very far in, but I'm loving it already so far. I also think the particular narrator of the version of the book I'm listening to is really good. This is a classic about two women who end up finding an advertisement for a villa in Italy that is available to rent for the month, and they both decide to rent it out. And so far it's just kind of a battle that these two women are having with their guilt around leaving their families, or their guilt around leaving their husbands or their duties. One of the women in particular is very much involved with caring for the poor and feels like she can't spend her money on herself when there are poor people that need it more than her, and all this kind of guilt and struggle going on internally at the moment. I'm really enjoying it. I'm excited especially for when it gets to the bit where they are in Italy in this villa though. And then the other book that I want to read physically over this weekend is the third book in the Earthsea series by Ursula K. Le Guin, which is The Farthest Shore. This is a classic fantasy series and this particular book is a bind up of the first 4 stories, and I read the first 2 last spring and I'm ready to carry on with the series. I do feel like it's a spring summer kind of world, a spring summer kind of fantasy, because it's set in an archipelago, so there's lots of sea and sailing and boats and coastline and all of that sort of thing. The first chapter in this third book reads, "In the court of the mountain, the sun of March shone through young leaves of ash and elm, and water leapt and fell through shadow and clear light." So it's already setting that kind of warm, sunny glow of spring, and I am very excited to carry on with this series.
Chapter 6. When Mrs. Wiggins awoke next morning, she lay in bed a few minutes before getting up and opening the shutters. What would she see out of her window? A shining world or a world of rain? But it would be beautiful.
So it's currently Saturday morning and I thought I'd give you a little bit of a reading update as to where I've got to on my reads. I say it's morning, it's actually already midday, so I don't know where this morning has gone, but I have not really done much reading. But I have listened to a little bit more of the Enchanted April audiobook. I'm about 7 or 8 chapters in now, and as the title of the book suggests, it is so enchanting, so charming, just such a lovely read. I'm really enjoying it. I think what's particularly standing out to me and what I'm particularly getting from this book is the search for a middle ground between serving other people and helping others and giving your life to make others happy, but also finding your own happiness and your own joy. And I think this is a hard challenge for most people, to be honest. Basically, this whole first part of the book, I'm about a quarter of the way in, and we're still having this kind of dialogue between the two main characters and also inner thoughts of these two characters separately around this guilt that they have gone off to do something for themselves, contrasted with the need that they both feel to go and do something for themselves. And really what they're trying to do is find this middle ground, find how they can have their happiness and make the most of things and still be servant-hearted people. It is still important to look out for others and serve others and give your time to people who really need it, and sometimes that does sacrifice your happiness. And I think we're all on this hunt for what is the healthy middle, what is a healthy level, both sides. And so yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's making me think a lot about that, and I'm just enjoying the whole story at the moment. So I'm excited to carry on listening to that in between reading my other book, which was The Farthest Shore, the third book in the Earthsea series. However, I read a bit of it last night and I just couldn't get into it. I just couldn't. I was not in the mood. I think I've been reading a lot of classics and a lot of slow-paced books lately, which is my favourite kind of book. I much prefer slow books typically to fast-paced books. However, I think I've just read so many of them that I'm really in the mood for something faster paced and a bit more gripping and engrossing. And so I decided not to keep going with that book, even though I'd mentioned it at the beginning of this vlog. I felt this little bit of pressure to carry on reading it, but I don't want to waste reading that series. I want to enjoy it, and so I need to wait till a time where I'm going to enjoy that kind of book. And so I had a little look around my bookshelves this morning to try and work out what it was that I actually wanted to read. And you know when you're in that kind of weird reading mood where you just don't know what you want to read? That is the mood that I'm in at the moment. And so I ended up picking 3 different books that I'm kind of interested to read all 3 of them, but I'm not sure which one I'm really in the mood for. And I thought what I'd do is read the first chapter of each of them and then decide which one out of that. They're all sort of fast-paced fantasy books, so at least I think they're fast-paced fantasy books. So they're all kind of similar, but I just don't know which one I'm in the mood for. So the choice is between House of Many Ways by Diana Wynne Jones, which is the 3rd book to the Howl's Moving Castle series. The Queen's Rising by Rebecca Ross, which is, if you've watched any of my videos before on this channel, you'll probably know that I really love Rebecca Ross. She is one of my favourite fantasy writers at the moment, and I've absolutely loved every book of hers that I've read so far. However, this is her first book. I think this is her debut novel. And so I'm pretty sure I'm going to love this book because I've loved her other books, love her writing style and her fantasy worlds that she crafts. Her stories are my favourite kind of fantasy worlds. And the final one is The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber, which is the sequel to Once Upon a Broken Heart, which is the spin-off series to the Caraval trilogy, which is a young adult fantasy series, and it's just a lot of fun. It's not too serious, it's kind of light-hearted and romantic, and I've really enjoyed the other books that I've read in this series. I actually did start reading this one a few months ago, but I think at the time I wasn't really in the mood for this, so I maybe put it down. It might have been when I was reading Jane Eyre. I think I picked it up to read alongside, and then I just fell in love with Jane Eyre, so didn't carry on reading this one. But I think I might be in the mood to pick it up again now that I'm in that kind of fast-paced book sort of mood. So that is my little stack. I'm going to try each of these 3 books, read a few pages, see what I'm in the mood for, and update you when I've read a little bit more. So my decision is now narrowed between these 2, I think. I'm thinking I might just carry on with this one for a little bit longer and then see how I'm feeling. I think this is going to be the one, but if not, this one was also really fun for the first chapter. This one was also alright. I just think I'm not in the mood for it. I think I'm just slightly more in the mood for these 2 at the moment. So this is my pick for now, and I'll let you know how I get on. So it's Sunday morning, it's actually Easter Sunday, and I'm about to head to church in a minute, but I thought I would do a quick update on my reading because I started The Queen's Rising by Rebecca Ross yesterday, and this was one of the 3 books that I was trying to decide between, and I said in the last clip that I was going to try and give this one a little bit of a go to see if this was the one that I definitely wanted to read. And as it turns out, I made it 250 pages through the book yesterday, and I don't know where that time went because I was thoroughly engrossed in this story. So this book follows our main character, Brianna, and Brianna is an orphan and doesn't know who her father is. She is raised by her grandfather, and he tells her that basically she should never know the name of her father because it would be dangerous to her. In this world, there are these 5 passions that people can study and pursue. The 5 passions are wit, dramatics, art, music, and knowledge. So there are people who are just born with these innate gifts and skills in one of these 5 passions, and in this world there are these kind of houses or schools where if as a young child you think that you have one of these gifts, then you can go there and be trained up, and when you are 17 you end up becoming impassioned in that passion and end up having to find a patron to kind of allow you to keep pursuing the passion. Brianna ends up being put into one of these houses not because she is gifted in any way, and she knows that she's not gifted. She feels like she's been put there just for her safety, and that all of the teachers there know what is going on and who her father is, and everyone knows apart from her, but her grandfather will still never tell her who her real father is. I'm really enjoying this so far. I mean, I did fly through 250 pages yesterday, and I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna finish this today. It also starts in early spring, so it felt like a fitting read in the end to pick up for a spring reading vlog. I feel like I've said this before, but every time I read one of her books, I just feel so inspired to create and to be creative and to write especially. And I just love her stories, so I'm really glad that this was the one I picked up. I haven't read any more of The Enchanted April yet, but I have a train journey tomorrow, and I'm thinking I'm going to try and save the last bit of the audiobook for that train journey so I can just listen to it easily whilst I'm on the train. So here's to another great reading day. days later, and I didn't get a chance to wrap up this vlog video on Monday evening because I actually got back home quite late and it was really dark and I was really tired and I did not want to stick a camera in front of my face. And so it's a couple of days later and I thought I would wrap up what I read over the weekend and share my final thoughts with you on the books that I read. So I finished The Queen's Rising by Rebecca Ross, and this was my kind of last minute pick that I didn't really know if I was in the mood for at the time, and I'm really glad that I picked this one up. Rebecca Ross is one of my favourite fantasy writers, and it was really fun to read her debut novel. Even though I said, I think I said in an earlier part of this video that I was in the mood for a fast-paced book, this was definitely not a fast-paced book. It was actually a really slow book. But I think what I found is that actually what I was in the mood for was a fun book, maybe more so than a fast-paced book. This book reminded me a lot of one of my favourite books in the whole world, which is Poison Study by Maria V. Snyder. The romance in this story is very, very similar to it gives me a kind of similar feel to the romance that is in that story. And just the whole kind of storyline, even though it isn't the same, it has a very similar feel to me as that story did. And because that book is so nostalgic and heartwarming to me, I think going into this book and feeling that kind of similar story and the similar romance elements was just really fun and warm, and yeah, exactly what I needed actually. Another thing I really enjoyed about this story were the family relationships, particularly the themes around found family and adoption. I think were just really beautifully done in this story, and all of the friendships, and there's just lots of kind of really nice relationships woven together. So the first sort of half of the book was really engrossing for me. I found it really fun, and even though it was quite slow paced, it felt like there was enough kind of pulling me through each part, and I was really intrigued to see what would happen to the characters next. I did feel like the second half of the book was a lot slower, and I also felt like the ending, even though it kind of wrapped up the story and I'm not quite sure what the second book is going to do, at the same time it left me with a lot of questions about, particularly around the world and these abilities and skills that these people have, that I don't know if they were fully wrapped up in this book. I feel like the skills element of it could have been explored a little bit more, sort of the struggles of having these skills, or the kind of challenges that people face as they get older when they are known for having these skills. I think some of those like intricate things about what it's like to live with being really gifted in something, I think that would have been really interesting to have picked up on, and maybe it does in the second book. So I'm definitely excited to read on with the series. I think it's just a duology. So the other book that I was of course reading or listening to over this vlog was The Enchanted April by Elizabeth von Arnim, and I didn't actually finish listening to this over the weekend for two reasons. The first reason was my plan was to finish it on the train journey that I went on Monday to go and see my friend. I had a good couple of hours on the train, but I forgot my headphones, so I didn't want to subject the whole train to my audiobook and so I couldn't actually listen to it, which was really annoying. But the second reason, and I think the reason why I still haven't finished it even a couple of days later, is I have been really struggling to engage with the story in an audiobook. I've been finding my mind just wandering as I'm listening, and then I'll catch up and I'll realise we've moved on to another character's viewpoint and I'm completely lost and stuck on another character, and I'm really struggling to visualise it in my head. And I just feel like I am missing out on the story because I'm not really enjoying it, and loads of people love it, and it seems like a book that I would really love. And I think the reason I'm not enjoying it is because I'm just getting a bit lost and my mind's wandering too much whilst I'm trying to listen to it. So I think that I want to enjoy this book properly and not waste it. And so I want to actually read the rest of this book. I'm about halfway through. I want to read the rest of it physically rather than just carrying on listening to it, because I feel like there's just so much gold and beauty in the story that I'm missing out on because I'm not absorbing it in the way that I actually absorb information well. Does anyone else feel that with audiobooks? I really want to be an audiobook person. I would love to listen to an audiobook and walk to work, or listen to an audiobook whilst I cook dinner, but I just can't concentrate. I cannot absorb the story properly whilst doing other things. Hopefully I'm not alone in that, but yeah, so I think that I want to actually read that properly. And so the reason I didn't actually finish it even when I got home is because I am pausing and waiting till I actually have the physical book. So all in all, I ended up reading 1.5 books and then a little bit of The Farthest Shore by Ursula K. Le Guin, which I'm feeling slightly more in the mood to pick up again now, which is good. I feel like it's so important to stop and pause on a book that you know you're going to enjoy if you're not enjoying it, because I think so many times I force myself through books because I've started it and I don't want to leave it unfinished, and then I end up just not appreciating it as much as I should because I'm forcing myself to read it for no real reason other than I am a completer finisher. That is like a personality thing, I think. I'm definitely a completer finisher. I hate leaving things unfinished. So I'm trying to break that a little bit this year. So I'm quite happy with my weekend reading. Thank you so much for watching this video if you've made it to the end. I post weekly videos on books, do reading vlogs, book recommendations, all of that sort of thing. I try and post those every week. So if you're interested in that sort of thing and you like this video, please consider subscribing to my channel and liking this video. Thank you so much for all of your support on my videos. I just reached 2,000 subscribers over the weekend, which is so exciting, and I'm just so thankful for everyone that is watching my videos and supporting me, especially with commenting on my videos as well. So thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are, and I'll see you very soon with another video.